I think next on deck we have the Paul Newstrom. Let's give it up for Paul.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to
Oh,
be
you're
with you.
muted for us,
Oh,
Paul.
hi, everyone. It's so good to be with you. And my name is Paul Newstrom. I'm a best-selling author, speaker, and a podcaster. And I'm really excited about what I'm going to share with you because I just launched a new community. And it's something that's been a passion of mine. But just less than 5 years ago, I was searching for purpose and meaning in my life. And I had just left a men's monastery where I've been there for almost 2 years. And I don't know if you know this, but when you go to a monastery, you basically sell everything you have and you give up everything that you have. And so when I left the monastery, I had 4 suitcases, and that was all of my worldly possessions. And I had $1,500 to my name. And I was sleeping in an abandoned church and all alone and praying for purpose and this meaning. And there's one thing that stood really strong in my mind. And that was when I was about 35 years old, I had somebody at my church ask if I would be willing to try out working at a funeral home. And I didn't know if that would be for me or not. They said, well, within 3 months, you'll know. And so the first thing they had me doing was cleaning up the cars. But the next task was really something that just really made an imprint on me that lasted for that's been 30 years now. And that was they had me organize all of the obituaries that this funeral home had been around since the very founding of this town in Salina, Kansas, where I grew up. And so I was to make sure that everything was in alphabetical order. But the thing that stood out to me is that every person that had lived and did all of their work and all of the accomplishments and everything was on one piece of paper. And so if they stood and they were president of the Rotary or if they organized a women's group, but the thing is that anything that had impact in their life, that it was on that piece of paper. And so when I was sleeping in this abandoned church and was reading some great books, I was thinking, what is my life's legacy? And maybe you've asked yourself the same thing. And that is what do I want to be known for? Not necessarily for all the accomplishments, but all of the things. But when you look back of all the people that really just made an imprint on your life, who stands out to you? And when you think, what did they create that was so special that has really lived on beyond their own lifetime? When I think of examples, and you can put this in the chat, is type an example, like for example, that had something that's such a signature part of their business that it really made a difference. Like for example, Russell Brunson, what is he known for? ClickFunnels, right? It's a piece of software. But how successful has he been because of just one thing, and that is he came up with an identifier and a need that ClickFunnels serves. It's unique in the marketplace. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. So I'm going to transition into the give right now because I think that's a valuable part of these black card masterminds. And, this is where I've learned some things. Like when I wanted to become an author, I didn't know the first thing about, writing a book. And I had actually contracted with a publisher to write a book, and I'd been sitting on it for 5 years, and was in this church, sleep, and all I knew I wanted to write a book, but I didn't know how. And so I just want to share a few secrets here, and I want to tell you that this are things that I do not share with a lot of people. And if I did like a one-on-one coaching, this is what I'd share. But the best way I found for me to write a book is podcasting. Because what's compelling about a best-selling book is the stories that communicate a principle. And the principles can be something simple, like in my book, it's called Death of a Yellow Page Salesman. And it's right here. And I was surprised, as I'll get out here a couple months ago, as a college picked up this book as their course curriculum for their entrepreneurs class. And the reason why is because there's all these stories that communicate a principle. Like, for example, there's a story about how I worked with a transit company, a bus company, and how we generated a campaign that funded $2.7 million just simply from one idea. So my real challenge to you is, what is your big idea? What is your one thing that you, like Russell Brunson's ClickFunnels, that is your kind of thing? And so I discovered a lot of my voice in podcasting. And what's great about podcasting is I use the software Descript. And Descript is not an expensive program at all. But it goes in and you can actually go in and it has the transcription and it's really good. I mean, if you use Google Docs, it's not as good. It like always like is glitchy and it kind of interrupts your flow. But if you've ever tried to write a book, and I know, Melissa, you've done, I'm enjoying your book right now, Hope Surge. But the thing is that sometimes when you sit down to the computer, it's just like you freeze. And you're kind of like, and my sister has written 6 books. And she's a very accomplished author. She's like the president of the California Writers Guild. And she gave me a tip that I want to pass along to you, and this is part of my give, is that when you sit down to create, sit down with a pad of paper and start doing cursive. And, if you journal, that is a beautiful way because things come to you as you're writing. Have you ever noticed that? Like Melissa, have you noticed that when you think? And it's just so cool. Why don't you come off? Let's interact, Melissa, because I want to pick your brain about this and see if we can, give some value to the people here.
Yeah, I totally have found that with journaling, or even when I just start typing, it just starts coming out more and more and more, even if I feel like I have a block at the beginning.
Yeah, it's definitely so. And who else here has written a book? Just raise your hand. Okay, Michael, why don't you come off and tell us about your experience about writing a book?
Well, one of the key things for me was the belief that I could. Mm-hmm. So I was involved with Tony Robbins, and I was one of 10 people at the time to support him at his live public events. And I had read his book, Awaken the Giant Within. And long story short, I just went out for a run one morning. I was like, started asking questions. He had a chapter called Questions Are the Answer. So I started asking myself the questions like, what would I need to do? What would be valuable for people?
Right.
And I literally came up, I believe the Lord gave me the idea to put together a book on questions, and the subtitle.
You're glitching out there, at least on my computer. So thanks for
Title is, what are you asking for? Oh, okay, so it says my connection is unstable. Sorry about that, if you can hear me. Right. So it's just basically asking myself a bunch of questions, like you said, not needing to know the next step, but just starting. And then in the starting, more got revealed, and in the doing, more got revealed, et cetera, et cetera.
Amen. So
can I add one thing with your Descript? I love that software. And my understanding, because I haven't used it in a long time, is that you can say something and then go in and edit your transcript and
and
what you say.
The beautiful thing about that, and forgive me, I gotta take it back because of time. But when you edit it, it actually edits the audio and the video, and it completely just does like the cutting and everything else. But another step too is that when you go to post this to YouTube or your podcast, is it loads automatically from Descript. But then I use a piece of software that generates all of the AI headlines and all of the great content behind it. And it is just the most powerful thing that if you want to know more about this program, it's called Cast Magic. Come into my group. This is my invitation. Go to publishspeakandprosper.com and become a part of the free group. We just did our kickoff launch here this past Friday, and we had prizes giveaway. We had people from all over the world there. Have 150 members now, but what I'm really looking for is like the 80 to 100 that are really going to be like contributors and really want to combine together like we just did to interact to really kind of take it to the next level. So one of the things that I see is that the hardest thing to do is to know who your avatar is. How would you like it if you were able to have a guest expert? And we're going to invite one on to publishspeakandprosper.com, and to be able to identify who our avatar is. And with her coaching and everything else, she has figured out how to generate your avatar through a basis of about 4 to 5 questions, and identifies who your key prospect is, and then all of their habits, their attributions, what makes them drive, what they're looking for. When I did this with her, and I'll just be up front, the total program for her is $500. But the thing is when it came away from it, I had a 65-page book on my avatar. Now, it blew me away. I'm still trying to, I'm contemplating maybe even publishing it. But the thing is it's just something that's so powerful. And so, with everything that I want to share with you this is kind of my ask right now. I've got about 13 minutes. Okay. I'm a little ahead of time. But one of the things is with the publishspeakandprosper.com, my vision for that was to take the experts and what I've learned from like Eileen Wilder and from some others to be able to teach you how to have a compelling speech, but also how you can take your writing and generate compelling content, kind of like she was talking about this morning, about the whole creation process and how you tap into the wisdom of God. Would it be valuable to you to know how I've been able to do some things that have allowed me to generate some content that has allowed me to become a #1 international best-selling author 3 times now? I'm going on a 4th. This next month will be our release of the 4th. But also what the ticket is, kind of like the easy street to become a best-selling author. Is that something that would be of interest to you? So if it is, just type yes in the chat or do it on your feedback form. But the one thing that I'm looking for in this group is about 15 people that want to take their authority to the next level. Because I'll tell you, the doors that have opened up for me since I've become a best-selling author has just been unbelievable. And, just about a month ago, we spoke to an entire student body at a college, my wife and I. And a lot of what we teach is this whole ideation creation, about stepping into like the creative energies of God and how you can really identify and determine what is your real secret sauce. So, when you have something that comes out, and this is what happened to me, is I had this best-selling book, #1. Publisher said it out of 1,500 authors, it hit, the top 10 and more categories was like 22. But the thing is I didn't know what to do with that, because I had come on to Eileen's, and so I didn't know how to craft her signature message. And this is all things that we have access to. So the thing is I was trying to figure out, what is my whole program about? publish, speak, and prosper. Because what I wanted to do, and this is my vision and my goal, is to marry the two industries of publishing and speaking together. Because it seems like there's not like a combined effort behind it. So this coming fall, like September, October, is I've contracted to have a summit where I have a guy that's a professional at doing it. And we're going to have 25 to 30 of major influencers who have done work with publishing and speaking. Eileen Wilder is going to be part of it. So it's going to be a fun thing. But over a 5-day period, we'll have 5 people a day, and you come on and you hear those people. And then there'll be a membership community that will be a part of it. But the publishspeakandprosper.com, that's actually a free group that's kind of like the running start down the runway before you lift off. And so the thing that I was coming up with is it seemed like all I was an affiliate. An affiliate for Eileen, an affiliate for, my publisher, an affiliate for, people that I've met that really have helped me go next level in my success. But then the thing that came to me just 2 weeks ago when we were on with this weekly session or monthly session with Eileen is I came up with this ideation creation. And, I looked on the trademarks and nobody's using those two names together. There's a lot of ideation and there's a lot of creation, but it's something that to me and here's my ask is, does it make sense to have, it makes sense to have a VIP day where we meet individually and have like a 5-figure, a $10,000 to $15,000 session where we get into all the aspects. And I'll tell you, if you've read my book of Death of a Yellow Page Salesman, you'll see that the gift that God has given me is just to tap into a creative ideas that are just it surprises me that happens. And I don't know, some of us have had interactions before, but I just love doing it, and when I hear, Danielle, you coming up with these names, I go like, yeah, that's great. But, if you can come up with one idea that generates $1 million, is that worth $10,000 to you? So, maybe that's not enough. Maybe I should charge $100,000. I don't know. But also, what aspect, this is the second question, is what sense does it make to be able to teach people how to get in that ideation zone for yourself? Because I really don't want to become the person that people look to for ideas. But what I want to do is establish a community where people have tapped into the creative energies of God, that wisdom of Solomon, the leadership capabilities of David, and that all of the tremendous men and women of God that have led God's people. And I just very out there with my faith, and I hope I'm not offending anybody, but that's just the way that I lead. And so I kind of like to open it up. I think I've done my intro. I'm doing my ask. So let's leave. We got 6.5 minutes for feedback.
Awesome. Let's give it up for Paul while you guys think about what you want to share.
I'll go. I think that your offer is amazing. And I know that when we first met in your group, that you wanted to really focus on helping people become a best-selling author. And I do still think that has such value in there. Like, I just actually recommended my brother-in-law to go into your group. He just finished his book and he is completely lost. He doesn't know what to do. And everyone he's talking to says that they won't publish him without a following. So now he has to go and learn how to be a marketing manager to do this. And he is now depressed and
that's not the way to do it. That's a traditional publisher, and there's a better way. There's a better way to do it.
But I'm saying, like, he needs somebody like you to get there. And I think that your want and hope to help everyone is so powerful. And I think that he is almost your ideal person because he's so lost and so hurt and so not sure what to do. He just wants to put this beautiful piece of artwork that he created into the world. And so when I think of his story, I think of you. So I wanted to share that.
That's awesome. Thanks for the feedback. Any, and your interaction is so valuable. And I love the people of faith in this community, and how a lot of times we sit back and we see all of these mega influencers that never share their faith. And I'm thinking, what better platform do we have, And the entrepreneur community, I'm thinking that, I am part of a little church that has like 40 to 50 members in it. And they're so tired about hearing my book, but the fact is that I've gone on and my following has grown from 2,000 to 30,000. Now, that's something I never imagined would ever happen. So, Michael, I see your hands up, so I'd love to hear your feedback.
First of all, I love who you are. I just really connect with you. It must be the Lord that's in you, number one. So I love that you're open about that, because that will repel the people you don't want, but it will definitely draw the people that you do. So I'm glad you're open about it. I thought your eye contact was very good. You know what you're offering. You're not reading or looking at something. So I thought that was really good. I thought that the fact that, you've got your books right there behind you, and you can pull that in for authority was really good as well. I would pause a little longer after you asked the question, like, what would it be worth? I forgot the exact question you said, but, one key idea, like what would that, so, and the fact that you had I wrote it down, but your book about the death of the Yellow Page salesman, that you had one idea that brought in 1.7 million for them. I would tie that in
2.7
or 2.7, sorry, 2.7. Tie that in with, well, what would it be worth to you if I were able to help you have one idea that whatever. And last thing that's just popping up in my mind is that God created all things, right? So we all have, if we tap into it, the ability to have unlimited creativity. So maybe something a little bit about that, and how you help people tap into that, so that one idea could create something with unlimited value for them.
Michael, an idea just came to me while you were speaking, is how amazing would it be to have a group of, say, like 8 really dynamite entrepreneurs, just like ourselves, in a room together for maybe a day or a weekend, where we talk about ideation creation. And not just for ourselves, but how we can teach that to others, and to be able to really generate something that's just beyond amazing for ourselves, but more importantly for the people that we work with.
I did have a brief thought about that, if you don't mind me sharing. I don't see anyone else's hand up, so I don't want to overtake anyone else that wants to volunteer. Is that the ideation creation to me is the process to get there. I would focus, and you probably are, more on the result. The one key idea that creates the life of your dreams or whatever, and the ideation creation with the group of like-minded people is the process to get there.
How did you like the whole thing about the obituary and having like a legacy that lasts beyond your lifetime?
I haven't thought about that, but I don't want to override anyone else that wants to respond about that.
Nobody else has their hands up, so go for it.
Okay, I thought that was a powerful story to say, hey, I came across this opportunity. I thought you could have left some of the other details out, like I washed the car and I was from this town, so shorten it down a little bit, but get right to, hey, I got asked to do go through all these obituaries, and here's what I learned from it. Boom, boom, boom. Then ask a question, pause, let it sink in, kind of like what Danielle did. Like, what would it be like for you if when you pass away, you have these regrets? What would those be? And what's it costing you not to have the life you? I see Wendy's hands up. I'll stop.
All right. So I'd invite you to come into the community. I'll put the link in there. I'd love to interact with all you.
I see our time is up.